Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Loss, Loving Life with Karen Chaston. It is so great to have you here today, and as always at this time on Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Time at noon on Monday. So welcome. And today I am going to share with you the first step to moving beyond loss. I presented this yesterday, so here is the slide. So the first step to moving beyond loss. So welcome, and I'm going to take you on a journey that is going to assist you to move beyond any kind of loss, because it's time. You know, we've never really been taught how to move beyond loss. And it's quite ridiculous when you realize that we're on a life's journey of going from love to loss and then back to hopefully love again. Now, most of us know how to do loss. Most of us know how to do love. We don't know how to do loss. And that's what causes us to grieve and suffer and to not be able to live and love our lives. So hi, Kylie. Welcome, everybody. So I'm going to deep dive in, as I said, because I really do feel that we all get stuck in the loss scenario, and it's not good. It's not good for us individually. It's not good for our family, our relationships, for all areas of our life. And that's why I love helping people to really move beyond loss. And we're going to deep dive into it. The first step. So let's get started. Okay. Yep. So I've got my slides. So this is my beautiful son, Dan. And Dan is my baby. He was my baby by a minute. He is a twin. He has a twin brother, Josh, and an older brother, Ben, and a half sister who is in our lives. I adopted her out when I was 16. So I totally understand what loss is all about. So what put me onto this journey of actually deep diving into loss? So it's because of Dan. Now, back in July 2011, my husband and I woke thinking we were going to have a lazy Sunday at home. But within minutes, we were running out of the back door, looking at Dan, who was lying literally at the background on the ground. We thought that he was just unconscious, though within minutes we had the paramedics arrive, saw him lying there in the fetal position, and they just turned around after looking at him for what seemed like a millisecond, and they said those words that no mother, no parent ever wants to hear. I'm sorry, madam, he is dead, has been for several hours. So what does one do with that? Like, what would you do when someone said that to you, when your beautiful child or anyone that you love is lying there in front of you and they had passed away? And for me, it was, I didn't know what to do. And I followed all of the things that I'm going to discuss with you, but the things that we've been saying for centuries and centuries and centuries. And at the time, I was a CFO of a publicly listed company, and that's what I looked like. And as you can see, I was carrying more weight. That's my 2007 passport photo. So it was long before Dan even happened that I wasn't living and loving and looking after myself. I was carrying more weight. I went and had my passport photo taken, and you can clearly see I don't even have my lipstick on properly. Though more importantly, if you look at my eyes, you can clearly see that it looks like Karen has left the building. I look very blank. I look disconnected. And I now know that I was full of adrenaline. I was full of cortisol. I was a CFO of a publicly listed company. I was working too much. I was eating too much. And I was definitely drinking way too much. And when Dan passed, I literally went straight back to work the day after his funeral. And I was just doing what everyone tells you to do. But I also know now that that was meant to have been my wake-up call. It was meant to be the reason why I started to deep dive into loss, so I could help you to be able to move beyond all your kind of loss events. And so because that didn't happen, life had to send me another loss event. And that came in the form of me having to choose whether to go with the company, my company that was merging with another, or to take redundancy. And I'm pleased to say I took redundancy. And that's when I started on this journey to becoming my own best friend. And as you can see by my 2017 passport photo, it's been quite successful. And along the way, not only did I reconnect to me and start to look after me and start to put me first in my life, I became a life coach and a Beyond Loss expert. And that's what I'm sharing with you today, because it's really important for us all to know how to move beyond loss. So what I found along the way was that there are over 40 different loss events that can affect all of our lives. Yes, each and every one of us will be affected by over 40 different loss events. And when I first read that and heard that, I went, oh my God, I need to find a list. And I went looking for a list, and then I created my own, and I actually even added more to the list, believe it or not. So here's the list. I'm going to put it onto full screen for you so you can actually have a look. Hi, Kaz, great to see you here. So have a look at this list, and you'll see that you've had many of these lists throughout your life. I've done these presentations numerous times, and the highest I've had is a lady say to me, I've had 21 of these and I'm only 40. And it's quite incredible when we start to realize that loss is going to affect each and every one of us, not just once, but multiple times. And that makes you go, well, life is a journey from love to loss. And we know how to do love, but we don't know how to do loss. But we're going to have multiple major losses throughout our lives. So what's going on with here? Why don't we know how to do loss? And I feel that that is my mission. I honestly believe this is why Dan passed away, so that he could help me from the other side to assist people to be able to know what to do when loss comes to visit. And it is going to come to visit. So type in, just looking at that list, any of the things that you sort of want to know about, or some of the losses that you've had in your life, so that you can understand that, it's going to come, and it's going to come in very many different forms. So let's continue on. So why do we suffer so much when loss does come to visit? And it's not just the fact that we don't know what to do. There's a lot more to it than that. So let's deep dive into this. So the first thing is that there's three aspects to every single relationship. And the first one is physical. And the physical part of our relationship is the way that we hang out together, the things we do, the things we say, the way we touch each other, physically touch each other. And it's just every single part of our relationship is our physical things. The amazing memories that we create together is we do that through physically being together. The way we talk to each other, the way we don't talk to each other. And all of those sort of things are the aspect of the physical relationship. And then we have the emotional part of the relationship. And that's the way we feel about it. And it's all encompassing of all of our feelings, the good, the bad, the glad, and the sad. And every single relationship is going to have ups and downs. We don't ever have a straight line relationship. There are always going to be a whole lot of ups and downs. And let's think about that for a second, right? So the relationship goes like that. We're on a high, and then sometimes something happens, we may come down, then we go back up. And it's important that our relationship does go up and down. Okay, it doesn't have to have the velocity as in the huge ups and the huge downs. It can go up and down like that. And if you think about that, it's about our feelings. It's the way we love each other, the way we feel about each other. And it's important for us to remember that if we looked at a heart monitor, like if we're attached to a heart monitor, the heart monitor goes up and down. So it's important that our relationships, our love relationships, go up and down, because if it didn't, it'd be a straight line, which would mean we were dead. And if you go back to Adam and Eve, right, they had a perfect life and they got bored. It was boring. They actually ate the apple because they wanted something to do. So when you start to look at the ups and downs of a relationship, start to realize that you're learning and you're growing from it and you're becoming more connected. And if you're becoming disconnected, there's something for you to look into. But maybe that is part of your life journey, part of your learnings for you to understand that. So then the third part of the relationship is the spiritual component, which is, it's that intangible part. It's the part where we know that we're connected to this person, place, or thing, but we're not really sure why we are so connected to it, especially sometimes instantaneously. But there is that spiritual part of it. And it's important for us to always remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So there is always going to be that part of everything that we do, whether we are connected to it or not. There is still always going to be that component. So when the loss event occurs, and it could be any of those 40 plus loss events, when that occurs, it's really important for us to understand that it's the physical relationship that ends, and the emotional and the spiritual goes on forever. And what I love to do is love to help people to have a healthy emotional relationship moving forward in regards to this loss that has come into their life. Whether the person is in this realm or beyond, you can always still have a healthy emotional relationship. There is no requirement for you to grieve and suffer and to feel like your life is over, that you cannot carry on without this person, because you can. We're all on a life's journey of realizing that we are the only person we're going to spend our entire life with. We don't spend 24/7 with anyone else each week. It's just with ourselves. So it's important for us to know that we are important. And when we understand that we can have healthy emotional relationships with all of our relationships, and therefore it's a lot easier to realize that the physical part of that relationship has ended. So what causes our pain? Okay, so that was the first one. The first one was understanding the aspects of the relationship. The second one is for us to understand this, what I call the unconscious mind loss loop. And it's really important for us to understand this, because our emotions are energy in motion. They're actually our friends. And I know it doesn't feel like they're our friends, especially when they come up and they're really the negative relationships. Just a second, I'm going to have a quick drink. I've been talking nonstop. Okay, thank you. So what it is that the emotions come up because to actually guide us that something requires healing. So our unconscious mind remembers every single millisecond of our entire life. So it understands what we did for every single millisecond of our life. So it understands the relationship. It remembers the whole entire relationship from the beginning to when it has ended, to what has happened and why it has happened. So there will be things that are up and there'll be things that are down. There'll be things that you maybe would like to apologize for or to forgive or to acknowledge. So the unconscious mind throws up these memories for you so that you can heal it, so that you can forgive or apologize or acknowledge. But because it doesn't like directly talk to you like it's a mobile phone, it needs to give you a way for you to go, okay, I need to heal this. And that's where our emotions come in. So it throws up these emotions so that you can deep dive into them. But we've created a world where we don't want to feel bad. So we push our emotions down. So we're not getting the healing and the guidance to be able to learn from them, to receive the gift that I love to call, and then to be able to move forward. So that's something. So it's really important that we understand the unconscious mind loss loop, because our feelings are our friend and it's a guidance for us to be able to heal and move forward. And another reason why we find it really difficult to move forward is our beliefs. Now, our beliefs may not even be our own. They could have been passed down through us through our DNA for centuries and centuries and centuries, or it could have been from our parents, our grandparents, our guides, our teachers, all of the people, throughout our whole life. They can be at the basis of our beliefs, and it doesn't mean our beliefs are actually spot on. And it's important for us to look at our beliefs, especially our beliefs around loss. And things like, oh, just give it time, keep busy, grieve in isolation, no one wants to hear your problems, replace your loss and you'll be fine, or be strong for others. Now, these beliefs, when they're said to you, they can be like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I can't do any of this. I really am grieving and suffering here. And everyone keeps telling me that I should have moved on by now. What is wrong with me? And it's not anything wrong with you. And it's important for you to understand that. It's just that people don't understand loss. And because they don't understand loss, and they don't certainly understand that there's over 40 different loss events, they just think, oh, well, this has just happened to you. Move on, get over it. What's wrong with you? Not realizing that you're in a grieving situation and that there is a way for you to actually heal and move on. And that's what we're talking about today. And another thing is Kubler-Ross. Now, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross did this amazing research on grief. But she came up with the 5 stages of grief. But the thing with her 5 stages of grief is that she showed us how we were doing loss. She wasn't showing us how to do loss, okay? And unfortunately, many people have looked at her research and said, and are using it as a grief Bible. Okay, this is what I need to follow. And her 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. And she clearly says that if you go into this, you won't necessarily go into them in that order. If you could go into them once, you can go into them twice, you can go into them any sort of order before you come to acceptance. So most people are looking at this going, okay, right, I'm in denial, right, okay, let's get angry so I can step through these 5 stages. But it's not the way for us to heal and easily move beyond loss. It's the way we've been doing it for centuries and centuries and centuries. And this is what causes us more grief, because we're comparing where we're at to this, saying that we're either better than it or worse than it, or wherever we're at. And it's not a good thing for you to compare your grief to any of this. Understand it, sure, and realize that that's how many people do it, but it doesn't mean it's the way to do it. Important distinction there. Bit of a catch-22. And another thing is the avoidance loop. Now, this is where our unconscious mind loop, then because it's so painful, we go, right, I'm flipping out of this. I'm not going to have all these feelings come up. I'm going into avoidance. And I'm happy to stay in avoidance for a very long time, because it's just avoid the pain. I did it. I kept busy. I went back to work. I ate more. I drank more. I did whatever I could so I didn't have to feel the feelings. But the funny thing is that the feelings are going to come, and they're going to come up at probably at the most inappropriate time. And they could come out as an outburst of crying, or an outburst of anger, or a resentment, and all of these negative things. And many of us, end up, let's face it, but the world has created trillion-dollar industries on how to avoid. We're very good at that. And they're thriving. But unfortunately, our avoidance tactics is not helping us to move beyond loss. And because we don't know how to do this, the suicide rate has grown to epic proportions, and it's not good, especially if we knew how to do what I'm about to share with you more easily. So how do you do avoidance? Have you ever deep dived into how you do avoidance? Because there are so many of them, things like food, alcohol, drugs, anger, exercise, overworking, being in isolation because people just can't know how to handle you, or going into a Netflix trilogy. Like, seriously, we have created social media and being able to watch our shows whenever we want to. We can sit there for days and days and days and justify the fact that we've done that. We've created it just to avoid the pain of living. Sex, over or under sex, and of course, shopping. They even actually call it retail therapy. That's not so good, is it, when you think of it that way? And then, of course, I'd like to know, are you ready to stop grieving and suffering? Because that's what it's all about. I've showed you why we grieve and suffering and why we get stuck in grieving and suffering. But I'd really love for you to let me know, are you ready to actually know how to stop it? How to stop the pain and the suffering from all of the past loss events, from the loss event that has brought you here today, and be able to also know that when loss comes again, and it will come again, because there are over 40 different multiple loss events, and we're all going to have multiple loss events throughout our life. So are you ready to know how to move beyond? Thank you. Because I'd like for you, just for a sec, to sit back and imagine your life when you stop suffering from your current loss event, when you have a healthy emotional relationship, when you know how to work through all your past loss events, you know how to easily move beyond your future loss events, and you can assist your friends and family through all loss and create your better ideal life. Just imagine having a better everyday life. Isn't that amazing? That's what it's all about. So just imagine that you're 90 years old, or you're in your retirement years, and you are sitting there overlooking your lake or wherever you have chosen to spend your retirement years. For me, I'm a Gemini, and I'm an air sign, and I just love space around me. And that photo to me was just the most ideal, perfect place for, I feel, anyone to be able to look out and enjoy all of the elements of nature, to be able to do that. Okay, I've just got a little note here from Kaz. Let's have a look at it. I find it hard because I'm grieving for my body. I've gone from a gymnastic coach to needing help with a frame to walk in 5 years. How do I cope? Great question, Kaz, because it's really interesting. Okay, so I've really, really interesting that, the loss of yourself, or the loss of your identity, the loss of your body, the loss of you physically be able to live and love your life is a really huge loss. And I really do feel for you, Kaz, because I understand that so many times we value who we are based on what we've been doing. As a gymnastics coach, I'm sure that you would have, been up every day and loving life and out there and really pursuing it. But life comes to us with different challenges. And that's what I'm about to share with you, is how you can learn and grow from what has happened in the past and heal it. It's really important for us to know how to heal it. And that's what I'm about to share with you, which is the first step in how to move beyond any kind of loss. So thanks for asking the questions, Kaz, and I'll keep going on. So it's really important that when we are sitting there in our older years, and that could even be next year or next month, It's just in a time in the future. Did I allow myself to live and love again after loss? It's a really important question, because the last thing we want to do is to move on to our next adventure, which I call when we pass, and move on to our spiritual realm. We really want to have no regrets. We want to actually say, do you know what? I came down here to do this and I did 99.9% of it. Sure, it probably took longer and it was a lot harder than I expected it to be. We live in a dense world. So things are a lot harder down here than when we're in a world of unconditional love. It just makes sense, doesn't it? So it's important for us to know how to move beyond the dense world, to be able to come back to love really easily, and to receive the gifts from whatever has happened in our lives. Because there are people in our lives who do things to us. And, one of the greatest things that I love to assist people to realize is that they may have done things to us, but they've helped us they've done it actually for us because of who we become because of these things. And that doesn't mean that you accept or condone what has been done to you, but you actually can learn and grow from the experience from it. And forgiveness is all about you. Forgiveness really has nothing to do with the other person. Forgiveness is all about you being able to learn and grow and move beyond all the things that have happened to you. Because when we hold back our forgiveness, it really is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, which never, ever will happen logically. Okay, so let's move on to what this today is all about, which is the first step to moving beyond loss. And as you can see, it's about creating loss and love so it's an even part of your life. That as you walk through life, it doesn't matter whether you're in a love scenario or in a loss scenario, you know what to do. You know how to move on. You know how to wake up in the morning and say, right, these are the things to do. These are the steps for me to take so that I can move along the infinity line and come back to love. Because let's face it, when you are loving life, how amazing is it? Every single area of your life is just sort of sparkling and you're moving along and you're dancing to work, you're tap dancing to work and you're tap dancing home because everything's in flow. And that's what it is when you know how to do love. But when you know how to do loss, you can easily come back to love. And that's what it's about. You know that you may go down for a little while, but you certainly won't be down there for long. You could be down there for a couple of hours or a week, but you certainly won't be down there for 20 years, as I've met some people from their past tragic loss events. So this is where we get into the active loop. And the active loop is where you start to take action steps, right? So the thing is, what I have found, and I'm just going to bring this over here because I'm going to go full screen. What I have found in life is the quality of your life and where you are at in life always comes back to the questions that you are asking yourself. And the questions that you ask yourself, right, for any question, there is always an answer waiting to be revealed. And for every answer that is revealed, there is an action step waiting to be taken. And for every action step you take, you move one step closer to the life that you are ready to live and love. So that's what it is all about. It's about the questions that you are asking yourself. And that's what the first step in moving beyond loss is all about. Because it's about you knowing how to ask these questions so that you can get into this active loop. Because when you're in that active loop, you will start to ask yourself better questions. Now, when I was a CFO of a publicly listed company, every day I would ask myself questions like, Is there a better way to do this? Is there an easier way? How can I save time on this task? There must be an easier way. And then I would always go and seek answers. And I'm pretty sure that mindset is what got me to become a beyond loss expert, because I knew that the way I did it was the wrong way. It was the hard way. It was the taxing way. And it just had to be a better way to do loss. And that's why I went looking for this way. And that's where I came up with the gift of loss. And I know many people going, Karen, how can you call your program the gift of loss? Your beautiful son, Dan, passed away. How can you say there was a gift in your son passing? And I'm here to tell you, the actual event of Dan passing there was no gift. It was very sad. It was traumatic. But the gift comes in after that. The gift came in me knowing that Dan is with me each and every day. Dan is the co-founder of the Chaston Centre. The guidance, the love, the direction that he has given me from the other side is incredible. Believe me. Dan is literally got me by the back and he said, right, Mum, you never listened to me when I was alive. So now we're going on an adventure where I'm in charge. I've got a few more little spiritual gifts than what you've got, so let's do it. And he's taken me here and he's taken me there, and the things that I have done, I never, ever thought I would do. I never thought I'd be an author. I never thought I'd be a speaker. I used to look at my former bosses who would speak in front of all of these huge crowds, whether they were employees or whether they were someone else. And I would think, oh, wow, isn't it amazing? Look at them. Aren't they great? No way could I ever do that. Look at me. Of course you can do it. We hold ourselves back. We believe that we can't do things. I believed, I wasn't very good at English at school. I was great at maths, obviously. That's why I became an accountant. And I can remember before I wrote my first book, I got in contact with an old school friend, and she said to me, what do you mean you're going to write a book? You weren't very good at English. I should be the one to write the book. And I said, but what's stopping you from writing a book? Just because I'm writing one doesn't mean you can't write one. We limit ourselves so often. We believe that the things we used to do in the past is the way we have to define our future. It's not true. We can do anything. We can think it, we can do it. What you believe, you receive. If you think you're an author, you're an author. If you think you're a speaker, you're a speaker. If you think you can heal from this loss and create your better everyday life, you can. It's that simple. And it's time for us all to realize that what has happened in the past has happened for us, to create the person who we came here to be. We decided to have these challenges before we came down here so we could grow, so we could move beyond them. And I know that they're not easy. They are horrific. Don't you think I want my son here? Don't you think I would love for him to be getting married and having children just like his brothers are and his sister? Don't you think we would all love that for him? But he chose to help me to wake up, to help me to want to deep dive into loss so I can help you to be able to move beyond all of the horrific things that have happened in our life. That's why I've called the program The Gift of Loss, because there is a gift in every single thing that happens in our life, whether we think it's positive or we think it's negative. There is a gift for us. It's just a matter of us deep diving into it and coming up with the gem. It truly is that simple. So I'd like you to meet Daniela. Now, Daniela is this beautiful Italian lady who I met last year, and at that time, she lived in Scotland. Her husband had passed 18 months before we had met. And she said to me, Karen, I'm a business coach, and for the past 18 months, I have never missed an appointment. I have grown my business. I have been there for my clients. I have never worked so hard. I have never earned so much money in the last 18 months as I did in any other time in my life. But I'm dead. I'm put on weight. I'm drinking too much. I'm there for everyone else except myself. I need help. Otherwise, I know that I am going to join my husband because I'm just doing it the hard way. I need your help. And I could relate to what she was talking about because I had done exactly the same thing. I worked harder. I drank more. I ate more. I just carried on because that's what people tell you to do, to carry on and everything will be all right. But it's not, because you're squashing down those emotions. You're not receiving the gift from them. So the first step to move beyond any kind of loss is to stop. Now, this is not a stop where you sit on the couch and you deep dive into a Netflix series, or you just do nothing, or you stay in bed. This isn't that sort of stop. This is the stop where you start to ask yourself some meaningful questions. You want a meaningful life? Ask some meaningful questions. You want a meaningless life? Stop and deep dive into Netflix. It's that simple. So we're here to stop. And the first thing we do when we stop is we take that conscious, loving breath. You know the one where we deep dive, we breathe deep, 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 deep down into our belly. Because in our belly is the nerve endings to the vagus nerve, and it goes all the way up to the hypothalamus gland. And the hypothalamus gland is in our brain. And that's where we can fill ourselves up with all of the feel-good hormones, where we can start to bring our shoulders down and start to relax and start to fill ourselves up with all the love and the wisdom and the joy that we know that we require to be able to move forward. It gives us power. It gives us our power to know that whatever happens has happened for us, that we're going to be all right. We're going to be able to move forward and create our better everyday life. And that's what the stopping is all about. It fills us up with asking our questions. What does it mean for us now? What does it mean for us moving forward? Where do I want to be moving forward? There's no way I can bounce back. I'm going to bounce forward. Because when I bounce forward, I end up in a different place, a better place. There's no going back. You know, the 2020 pandemic showed us very clearly, there's no going back. We're all bouncing forward. We're all bouncing forward into a new way of doing things. And that's why the stopping is so important. That's why we were all forced to stop. It's really important for us to understand how important stopping is. Because when you stop, you start to create that life that you really, really want. You start to design it. You can't stop. You can't hear the inner guidance if you're busy, busy, busy. And we all created that busy, busy, busy. So we all had to stop. And that's why it's so important for us to understand the first step in moving beyond any kind of loss. It's not going into avoidance. It's not keeping busy. It's not looking at the 5 stages of grief and going, right, where am I now? How do I move beyond it? It's about understanding the aspects of a relationship And it's also about understanding, which is the most important advice. If you get nothing else from today, get this. You are the only person you are going to spend your entire life with. You matter. It's time for you to understand that you have dreams, you have aspirations, you have hopes. It's time for you to start fulfilling them. That doesn't mean getting rid of all of your relationships. It means it's time for you to say, I matter. I'm going to say what I want in life because I am the only person I'm going to spend my entire life with. And it's time for me now. Today is the first day of me taking that first step in creating that life where I do matter, where I really can move beyond any of my loss events. Remember Kubler-Ross? That gets you in the way of not being able to do this. So, in the Chaston Centre model wellness wheel, we have 12 areas of life, and that's a lot to remember. So I've broken them into 4 pillars, and the first pillar is all about you, right? Because as I keep saying, you matter. The second one is all about your relationships. The third is about your expertise, and the fourth is about your wealth creation. Now, a lot of people in life, they sort of create their life the other way around. They look at the wealth that they want to accumulate. They figure out what expertise they have to do to get there. Then they gather a few relationships along the way. And then they go, okay, what about me? Oh, I'll worry about me when I retire. You know, I know so many people who get to that retirement age and then they pass away because they have spent their health to get their wealth, and now they're spending their wealth to get back their health, but the health never comes back in the same way. So it's really important for you to start saying, I'm putting me first, and that's not from a selfish point of view. It's from when I'm all topped up, I will be able to have great relationships because I will have the energy and the time to be there for my relationships. But I also have the energy and the time because everything's rolling along nicely in my first 2 pillars of life, that I'll be there for my work. I'll be able to create this amazing career or business or whatever it is that you do. And therefore the money will just flow to you. And it's not about accumulating money just for the sake of it. It's about knowing that that's a reward for me, ensuring that I look after me, then I look after my relationships, then I look after my expertise, and then I look after my wealth creation. So there's 5 steps in the gift of loss staircase, right? The first one we've discussed today is stop. And it's really important that we actually take the time to stop. I'm not going in the other 4 steps today. I'm going into the stop. We're staying in the stop because it's time for you to ask the question, have you actually stopped? Have you healed from your past losses? Have you healed from everything that has happened to you? Because you do matter. It really is time for you to look into how you are stopping in your life. Taking that conscious, loving breath, filling you up so that you do have the power and the love and the light to be able to move forward, the wisdom, creating the wisdom so that you know what are the best next steps for you. And until you stop, you will never, ever know. You'll have everyone else giving you all this conflicting advice on what to do. But no one has the right advice for you. Only you have the right advice for you. And it's about you connecting to you so that you can listen to the right advice for you. You are the master you are seeking. And the only way that you can have that master appear, that genie appear in front of you, is for you to stop. Is for you to stop and get quiet. Stop being so busy. Stop running and running and running away from your feelings. It's about stopping and listening to your feelings, figuring out what needs to be healed, how you can move forward. And I'm pleased to say that you will then create a life where you will stop suffering from your losses. You'll have a healthy emotional relationship with all of your relationships, whether they're in this realm or beyond, no matter what they have done to you. You'll be able to work through all of your losses. You will know how to easily move beyond any in the future. You'll be there for your friends and families and all of your loved ones. And you will be creating your better everyday life. So in order to do that, I have created this amazing 45-day series. That's right, 45 days, less than 6 weeks, where you can stop. It gives you a daily plan on how you can stop, exactly what you can do. And because I know how important this is, I have made it $1 a day. That's in total $45 Australian. $45, and each day you will receive a new activity for you to deep dive into you, for you to stop and take the time to reconnect to you. Because when you reconnect to you, you will revitalize your life. You will know what is the best next step for you. No one can tell you what the best next step for you is. And that's why I've created this Revitalize Your Life amazing series. Now, as I said, there's the link, and I'll post the link here in the recording. Now, $45, 45 days. That's $1 a day, okay? It's not $45 per day. It could easily have been $45 a day, believe me. I could have easily, the gifts and the amazing insights that you will gain from taking the time to spend less than 45 minutes a day on yourself, right? Working through these different activities. They are amazing. The insights that they give you to help you to reconnect to you, to revitalize your life, to be able to stop. That's what this is all about. It's about you stopping and taking the time to say, I matter. I am going to sort out all of this that has happened in the past. And I'm going to do it by spending 45 minutes a day on me. Now, if you don't have time to do it each day, you just continue on and finish it. You have access to these 45 different activities for the rest of your life. Though I highly recommend that the sooner you receive this amazing insight, the sooner that you can start to create your better everyday life. So that's it. That's what it's all about. It really is time for everyone to revitalize your life. So let me know if you have any questions, because I have to say, I have just had so many people who go through this who say that they cannot believe that this is just, common sense advice. And unfortunately, common sense is not normally common practice. So it really is this shining a light on a different part of you so that you can go, do you know what? I do matter. Do you know what? My health matters. Do you know what? My relationship with me really does matter. My spirituality matters. My relationships matter. It's just so many different things that we focus on. And as it clearly says, this is a pathway that gives you clarity, joy, and fulfillment. That's all it does. It gives you the clarity so that you can bring joy and fulfillment and love into your life. Isn't that what we're all here to do? Just to live a life that is filled with joy, love, and fulfillment. Well, that's what it's about to do. So, any questions? Okay. So, how much is usually the cost for doing it? I have made it $45 permanently. And I purposely did this because I know how important it is for people to do this. It's $1 a day. I could have sold it for 10 times that, but I chose not to because it's a video series. You get your own little area. You can log in. Each day you'll get an email from me reminding you that I've loaded today's activity. And that's what it is, Jess, $45 in total. I purposely created this knowing that I wanted it to go out to as many people as possible because we don't understand loss. And I did it the hard way, and I don't want that for anyone else. And $1 a day, I think everyone can find $1 a day. And if there's not, I know this is going to sound a little bit weird. You need this series more than anything else because believe me, if you can't find $1 a day for 45 days, there is something wrong. I would put my hand out. Go and ask your friend, can you lend me $45? It's a great investment. That's right, Jess, and that's why I've done it, because it's the people who are struggling that really do require this. And I know there are so many people out there that are single parents and they're, feeding their children and they can't afford these programs that will really help them to give them a different insights into how they can do it. It is $45, $1 a day. Just don't have a coffee for 10 days, that will give you the $45. The link is open. I'm not sure what and thank you, Jess, for recognizing that as why I've done it. Can what? I don't know what your last comment means, Jess. Can and then an asterisk. Here's the link. I'll post the link again. Right. Oh, okay. Must mean can. Beyond normal families can't afford. Exactly. And that's why I've made it. So they can afford it. Everyone can afford it. So that's it. My hour is nearly up. So I hope that you all can move beyond all of your losses. We're all going to have multiple major losses throughout our lives. And I really would like to thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for really getting involved. It's so important that we all realize that we are the only person we're going to spend our entire life with. And sometimes we get stuck in life and we don't know the next step forward. We're getting conflicting advice from so many different people that we just don't know which way to go because, if I go this way, so-and-so says it's the wrong way. If I go the another way, so-and-so will say that's the wrong way. You are the only one that knows the right way for you. And it's time for you to start to know how to trust who you are. And that's what the Revitalize Your Life series is all about. It just gives you 45 days of activities to reconnect to who you are so that you do actually get your inner guidance, so that you do gain the clarity, so that you can bring joy and love and fulfillment into your life. So that's it for today. So thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I would just like to say, I'll see you here next time.